Who is the most beloved game developer? Is it somebody like Nintendo? Is it Naughty Dog? Is it somebody over at Microsoft? Or is it Rockstar Games? Now, the point of this video is to talk about two big projects that Rockstar just canceled and why I feel like it's actually very important and very shocking that this managed to happen. Even if you don't typically like Rockstar Games, we have to agree that this is a different style of experience. Rockstar Games makes truly immersive worlds, stuff that has thousands of lines of dialogue, hundreds of independent quests that are also fun, sometimes even heavy components of online play. Like Rockstar Games makes games that are not just bigger, they are in fact better. And that's why I feel like them canceling stuff is actually important. But let's talk about that. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here. Hi, it is the 4th of July. I hope you're having a great time and maybe exploding stuff if you're into that. But now please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. So here is the inspiration for this video. This guy right here is Tez2, TezFun. This guy actually talks a lot about different leaks and stuff. He has been digging into some reputable sources inside of Rockstar Games, and he had this to say this morning. As per a reliable source with clear accuracy on Rockstar plans, remasters for GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 1 were on the table a few years ago. But Rockstar chose not to proceed with the projects in mind. The poor reception of the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition might be a reason behind this decision. Now, this is incredibly disappointing for a multitude of reasons. First and foremost, I feel like a lot of people sort of forget this. Red Dead Redemption 1 is still incredibly difficult to play in a modern sense. It's not on PC, it's not on PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5 or Nintendo Switch. It is on Xbox One with backwards compatibility, but Red Dead Redemption 1, as much of a masterpiece as that game is, objectively it is a freaking masterpiece, it's still locked on old school hardware, and unless you're willing to stream it, it's just not really accessible. And that completely sucks. But additionally, I think a lot of fans have a lot of fondness for GTA 4 because GTA 4 is not only got some really good characters, it's got some really good cities. I think that GTA 4 was this interesting stepping stone to HD open world. Like, keep in mind, this came out, oh gosh, almost 20 years ago now. It could use a fresh coat of paint. It's weird that there's like 3 separate editions that exist of freaking Grand Theft Auto 5. GTA 5 has been on PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, all over the place, except we don't have GTA 4 playable again in a modern sense. Now, there's been rumors for years that essentially Rockstar does want to bring these back. Their studio in general has been very respectful of their own past and the desire of gamers. That's why it's kind of interesting to me that they have brought back some of their oldest stuff, like the crazy beat 'em up they did for the Warriors, and obviously stuff like Manhunt. These games are fully playable on some modern systems like the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5, and they're incredibly good. Rockstar Games creates some projects that age like a fine wine, and people have been clamoring to buy GTA 4 and Red Dead Redemption 1 again. Not to get free remakes, but straight up to see these remasters, these refreshes come back in a way that's actually going to be respectful to the original source material. Now, why is this happening really? Like, what is it that's causing them to cancel a project that could have made them hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars? I mean, people seem to be that seriously hyped about Red Dead 1 coming back, and I think we all know that it falls upon the Grand Theft Auto Definitive Edition trilogy. Now, you guys will know this. I actually like the Definitive Edition trilogy quite a bit. I'm just such a sucker for Vice City and San Andreas that playing them again, it's a gigantic nostalgia trip. These games were objectively very glitchy, very weird. They had a lot of weird cosmetic issues and frame rate problems. This is still one of the lowest rated games ever when it comes to Metacritic. The user score is abysmal. And I feel like a lot of times now, companies have this fear of making a giant mistake. Now, what a lot of people sort of have forgotten is that they've actually managed to go back and create patches. This is a Digital Foundry. They show the fact that actually they've done a lot of very big updates to the Definitive Edition trilogy that have made it a pretty great experience. They improved a lot of the problems with graphics and glitches and stuff like that, so it's certainly a much more playable experience, and in my opinion, it looks a lot better. But we now exist in an era where, for better or for worse, gamers have very, very long memories. Like, consider the fact that because stuff is so expensive, trying to get the latest and greatest games costs you $70 or $80, and that's even if you're just getting the normal edition on next-gen consoles. I feel like people are very, very apprehensive about being screwed over. And people remember, if you bite them once, they don't want to get bit again. People do not want to deal with scams in any sort. I feel like, keep in mind, something like Diablo Immortal, this is obviously a crappy free-to-play scam game that's on cell phones. This game, though, is again now one of the lowest rated things ever on Metacritic, and I guarantee you, inside of Blizzard, they're having multiple big board meetings about whether or not they need to change course, whether they need to adapt, whether they need to change, whether this is a problem that can be fixed. And I think this is happening inside of Rockstar Games. Rockstar in the past has experienced some overwhelming goodwill. People love them, people buy their stuff, have made just tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars. And I mean that literally mathematically off their sales of Grand Theft Auto 5 and all the microtransactions in it and stuff. GTA 5 has built them up an incredible amount of goodwill. People are curious to see what comes next. I mean, even though there are a lot of problems with Red Dead Redemption 2's online, Red Dead Redemption 2 was also a huge, overwhelming fan favorite. I think that Rockstar Games is trying to make careful chess moves. There was this report that came out almost 7 years ago now that was very interesting, which talked about the fact that internally, Valve is afraid to make Half-Life 3 because they don't want bad will. Valve is just making so much money off of Steam as it currently exists that they're not worried about going back to the dev team and making Half-Life 3 or Left 4 Dead 3 and stuff like that. And I wonder if Rockstar Games is sort of in an interesting similar circumstance where their games are still selling, people are still happy, everybody is playing stuff. Why go back and try and remake or even remaster these existing masterpieces? Now, personally, I just must admit that I am very, very sad about this. I love Grand Theft Auto 5 so freaking much. I mean, I do enjoy Red Dead Redemption 1 quite a bit as well, but I just have so much nostalgia, so many good memories of GTA 4. It was the first game I ever played on the PlayStation 3, and then I bought it on Xbox 360 and I played it again. I did so many hours of the broken online mode of trying to do missions and laser tag and stuff like that. Grand Theft Auto 4 feels like this very fantastic time capsule, this existing stamp of what things were like, both gaming and real life during the early 2000s, and I would love to see it return. Even if it does have bugs, I'm going to go a step further and say to something, a direct plea to freaking Rockstar. We want these games. We want them on PC. We want them on consoles. We want them playable. Even if it is just a slight upscaling, even if it is just a nice patch that increases the visual fidelity by like 10%. I'm not asking for a total remake. I'm not asking for what you did with the definitive edition of GTA Trilogy where you tried to do character models and new controls and rebuild the entire game brick by brick. I think that these games already exist and play exceedingly well. We just want a way to play them now, again, on modern consoles that doesn't require streaming it through something like PlayStation Now. I want these games to come back simply because not only would they be profitable, but these are very, 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 very good games that we just want to be accessible now. But what do you think? Have you had a chance to check these out? Have you played Grand Theft Auto 4 or Red Dead Redemption 1? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all, and keep dreaming. Oh yeah, did I put this picture in here of me holding a firework with my dick because I'm dumb? Keep dreaming. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.